Red Wing Hockey. Tonight's game is brought to you by the all-new Jeep Wagoneer and Jeep Cherokee. When it comes to four-wheel drive, one word says it all, Jeep. And by Thornapple Valley's great-tasting hot dogs, hams, bacon, and sausage. And by Michigan National Corporation Bank, where we give you more money for your money. And by the Detroit area J.C. Penney stores, your headquarters for kangaroo shoes. And by your 47 Greater Detroit area Midas shops. Trust the Midas touch. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, and proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Little Caesars, home of the famous Pizza and Panza Pizza. One of the Little Caesars 150 Detroit area locations is near you. Now, here's Bruce and Sid.
And so again, from the Nassau Coliseum here in Uniondale, New York, tonight the Detroit Red Wings, for the first time this season, meet the defending Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders. Sid Abel, we mentioned a little while ago on radio. I mention it again right now because our television audience is joining us, that this is a team the Detroit Red Wings played 3 times last season, defeated twice, tied another time. I'd like to say they've got their number, but this is a New York Islander team that's going.
Well, I would think the New York Islanders right today are probably the best team in hockey, Bruce. The Wings have had problems with the lesser lights. They may come in and straighten their game out and beat a team like this. And Corrado Michalef, just called up to take the place of Greg Stefan, played this team twice last year and won both games. So they have a goaltender that has a good record against the Islanders.
Well, it was November 26th. The Detroit Red Wings were in Pittsburgh, and they defeated the Penguins. They moved their record then to 10 wins, 10 losses, a couple of ties, and even 500. But since that time, they have played 7 games and lost all 7 of them. They'd like very much to get it back on the winning track here tonight, but it'll be no easy task. And then if that's not enough, right back home, weekend games back-to-back against the Philadelphia Flyers. But stranger things have happened. It's been a strange season all around. New Jersey's just come to life, beating everybody right now. The Edmonton Oilers got clobbered here the other night, went right into the Rangers, and New York Rangers fell to them quite heavily. It's been that kind of a season. Winnipeg into Toronto, whipping them badly.
Right. Bruce, you know, Detroit in this 7-game tailspin that they're in have given up a lot of goals. Prior to that, they had one of the best goals against record in the National Hockey League. They have to come out and be determined to check this team because the Islanders are a straight up-and-down hockey club that will grind in the corners and work. The Wings are going to have to come out and work with them and hope to get a break or two around the net and start scoring some goals.
And the Red Wings, as you say, are going to have to start scoring. They're just about a 2-goal-a-game average in that 7-game losing streak. The Red Wings and the New York Islanders from here in Uniondale, New York, and we'll be back with the opening face-off after we pause first for this.
You know you'll get the job done right. We take pride in what we do, 'cause we care about the work we do for you. Trust the Midas touch.
78 MGB.
Trust the Midas touch. Where nothing but the best is ever gonna do. Trust the Midas touch.
There are 47 Midas muffler shops in the Greater Detroit area. Check the white pages for the shop nearest you.
Introducing the amazing Renault Encore. Look how it feels to mold to the road with 4 wheels suspended independently. Feel it flow through hairpin curves. Look how the new Encore feels as it almost ignores gas pumps and provides front-wheel drive for extraordinary cornering. For an amazing 5755 European design built in America, the new Renault Encore. Amazing.
The one to watch, the one to watch, the one to watch.
Renault.
What do you suppose we're having?
Panda, Little Caesar Street. 14 slices, so much for you to eat. Thick crust that is so crunchy, it's like you've never seen.
Panza Pizza is a pizza lover's dream.
Cheesy, hot, tasty, delicious feast.
Little Caesar's new shape is so neat.
A taste that is supreme. Panza Pizza is a pizza lover's dream.
Check your Detroit News or Free Press for valuable coupons.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours a happy and safe holiday season.
Back we are here at the Nassau Coliseum. The two teams out onto the ice. Corrado Micallef will be defending the goal off to our left, and we take a look, Sid, for the first time at a young goaltender who will be in the other end of the rink. His name is Kelly Hrudey.
Yes, he played down in the International League a couple seasons. He was the second-round draft pick of the Islanders back in 1980. He's only played one game in the last 12, and they must be resting Melanson and Smith and going to give this kid a start.
Our referee tonight is Bruce Hood. Jim Christensen and Kevin Collins are the two linesmen. Bruce Hood, the veteran referee, passed his 1,000th game when we were watching it, broadcasting it, and then Toronto against the Maple Leafs.
I believe there's going to be a little pre-game ceremony here. Bill Torrey, the manager of the Islanders, is going to present some kind of an award to young Dineen, Gord Dineen, the son of the Red Wing Adirondack coach. There's Corrado Micallef.
Corrado Micallef. You talk about taking a young man and putting him right into the Lions' den. This is what they've done with Corrado tonight. He has played in Adirondack this season and now makes his first appearance in a Red Wing uniform against the Islanders, right in the Islanders' home ground. But he's a steady young man.
You have to wish him well. I mean,
yes.
I would think he'll have a few jitters.
Kelly Hrudey, who is, Sid said, a young fellow who was drafted, second-round draft choice, I believe it was, in the 1980 draft. They're announcing the...
passed away in 1979, was the great Islander scout. He was the man most responsible for the Islanders.
Making the announcements right now.
And now to make this year's presentation, we welcome President and General Manager Bill Torrey.
Young Gordon Dineen won the Outstanding Rookie Award during training camp with the Islanders, and has just been called back up.
We'll award the Henry Saraceno Annual Award to Gord Dineen.
Gord Dineen, Sid, is the son of Bill Dineen, who played, I don't know, with you? And
yes, he was in Detroit when I was there.
Right, and is now the coach of the Red Wings #1 farm team at Adirondack. Dineen, drafted by the New York Islanders, will be starting the hockey game tonight for them.
Now, Bill played back in the 50s, was on a couple Stanley Cup teams, I think in 52, 53, and back again 55. He's here. He brought Corrado Micallef up from Adirondack, so it's a double thrill for him.
Now there will be a brief ceremony and the playing of the national anthem prior to the start of the game.
Adam Warner, will you join along in the singing of our national anthem? Here's Joe Dewar.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Singing and playing of the national anthem prior to the start of the game between the Wings and the New York Islanders. Detroit trying hard to break a 7-game losing streak, and they come out immediately with what is their checking nine now of Claude Loisel, who'll move out to center ice with Paul Woods on one wing and Eddie Johnstone on the other. Reed Larson and John Barrett back along the defense in front of Corrado Micallef, making his first start in a Red Wing uniform this season. Now the New York Islanders have Butch Goring. All he did was score 4 goals his last game out against Edmonton. John Tonelli on the left wing and Bob Nystrom on the right side, and this is a line that's going to go full tilt. The veteran Denis Potvin, the captain of the New York Islanders, back in one defensive spot with the rookie Dineen on the other, and in goal, as we mentioned, Kelly Hrudey. Referee Bruce Hood. And the hockey game underway as the Wings win the first draw, and Barrett hands it off now to Reed Larson. Larson played it up the right side, knocked away. Here's Tonelli. John Tonelli hands it off to Nystrom, and Larson just did tip it away. Nystrom picks it up again. Played it off the rim of the circle to Goring. He took the shot, deflected wide of the net. Goes into the corner. Tonelli digs it out there. Played it back on the line to Potvin, and his shot knocked down by Larson. Now Reed Larson has Paul Woods moving out center ice, up over the line. Here's Woods with a drive, and Potvin got a stick on that, deflected it into the corner. Eddie Johnstone back after that injury to his face, played it along the board, but the Islanders shoot it out center ice, and Woods has it there. Reed Larson. Larson just shot it along the boards, off to the side of the Ranger goal. Hrudey hands it to his defenseman, Potvin. Now here's Potvin bringing it back down the ice. Clearing it into the Detroit zone. Colin Campbell of the Wings, wearing number 4, just flips it back to the center ice zone. Ken Morrow comes back after it. Now Morrow and Potvin. Puck played ahead to Clark Gillies. Trottier over the line with Bossy. Here's Gillies playing it back for Trottier. Too far for him, and it comes out center ice. Tomas Jonsson comes back after it. Hands it off now to Morrow. Now here is Bossy up the left side to Gillies, over the line around Park, going right in. And coming out of the net, Nicholas knocked it off his stick. Here's Bossy. The pass went through him, and Duguay has it. Ron Duguay bringing it out to center ice. Crowd getting on him as they do in New York. Over the line, Colin Campbell with a drive. And Hrudey stopped that. Puck slides back to the Detroit end. Bossy took a little flyer, and referee Bruce Good just shook his head. There wasn't much question about that. Here's Gillies. Sending it off to the side of the Detroit goal. Gillies played it in behind the net now. Trottier put it out in front. That was tipped away from Bossy. Now it comes out on the right side, and Duguay has it. Ron Duguay back over the New York line. Drops it off for Ivan Boldarev. His shot didn't get through. And this will be Bossy circling out in front of his own goal. Now here's old Bossy firing a long shot. Mikulev steers that away. Randy Lattiser of the Wings didn't get it out. Held in, going into the corner, Brent Sutter. They jam in along the boards. John O'Grodnik took a kick at it. It's held in, though, by Bob Bourne. Bourne's pass picked off by O'Grodnik. Now the Wings have 3 men down. O'Grodnik, Lambert on the right side. Lambert fired it into the opposite corner. Going in after it along the boards is Duane Sutter. He didn't get it out. Murray Craven held it in, and O'Grodnik with a shot, and a good save that time by Hrudey on a good effort by the Red Wings. So with a pause in the action right now, we have no score, and we'll be back in a moment.
There's a smile in every bite of every Thornapple Valley hot dog. Funny how things go so right with every Thornapple Valley hot dog bite. Well, heat 'em up, serve 'em up, eat 'em up. Watch 'em do their style. There's a smile in every bite of every Thornapple Valley hot dog. There's a smile in every, there's a great big.
Bryan Sutter, Duane Sutter up front now for the Islanders. The play back in the Detroit end. Greg Smith has it. Now Smith at center ice, handed it over on the left side. Lattiser took the shot from center ice, drove it into the corner. John O'Grodnik went in after it. It was tipped away. O'Grodnik got the stick on it again, took a bump from Sutter. They still dig along the boards in the corner. Lane Lambert and Craven are the other 2 forwards up front with O'Grodnik for Detroit. Now it'll be brought out center ice by Sutter. Brent Sutter drove a long shot. Mikulev has no trouble with that. Feeds it ahead to Lane Lambert. Lambert now to Greg Smith. Here's Smith. He's slowed up center ice by Gary Gilbert. The play went over the line. Gilbert brings it back out now. Swings it out center ice. Over the right side, Trottier back into the Detroit zone. Trottier, a bouncing puck right out in front. And a shot fired right on the goal by Gilbert. And Mikulev got a piece of that. Deflected it over the top of the net. Play stopped right at the Detroit blue line as Matt Hallin failed to get across the line. The Wings will bring it out. Didn't bring it out. And Potvin is stripped, and this time there will be a penalty coming up to Detroit. As Denis Potvin went down over the blue line. So the first power play opportunity going to the New York Islanders. The score 0-0. Let's pause for this.
Detroit penalty to number 5.
Coke is it. Coke is it. The most refreshing way to make the most of every day. And wherever you go or whatever you do, there's something big waiting for me. Kiss It, the one that never lets you down. Go Kiss It, the most refreshing taste around. Go Kiss It.
Red Wings power play, not one of the strongest ones. The penalty was on Greg Smith for tripping as he hauled. It wasn't a tripping penalty, actually interference call.
Interference on Potvin as he tried to break in.
Now the play came right out in front of the Detroit goal and falling flat out in front of the net, taking a big swipe at it with Nystrom. He played it up over the glass and up into the crowd. I started to say the Red Wings penalty killing record is the worst in the National Hockey League.
They have really had their problems. I would think, Bruce, if there's one part of their game that they have to correct, it is the penalty killing units, because they're just giving up too many goals and it's beating them because of it.
Los Angeles at Detroit Tuesday night had 2 power play opportunities. Here's Potvin back with a drive, and that's deflected up into the crowd. They scored on one of them and scored 2 seconds after the other was over, which technically doesn't go in the books as a power play, but for all aspects it was.
And the game before that, too, Chicago scored a couple of them.
Right. Our next televised game will be coming up Monday, the day after Christmas. December 26th will be in Toronto's Maple Leaf Garden. 8 o'clock.
Toronto Micallef had to come up with a big save early in the game. Clark Gillies breaking in from the blue line.
Now the puck driven all the way back into the New York zone, in behind his own goal, Potvin. Potvin and Tomas Jonsson back at the point positions. The Red Wing penalty killers now, Grodnik and Dunlop. Now it's flipped deep into the Detroit zone by Bossy. In behind the Red Wing goal, Trottier put it out in front. Bossy took a swipe at it, hit the side of the net, and Grodnik digs it away, shoots it all the way back into the New York zone. Hrudey stops it there, gives it back now to Jonsson. Now the Islanders, they have the extra man for a minute 10 as a play into the Detroit zone. Jonsson goes in along the board, lays it back on the blue line. Tonelli played it into the corner. Now Bossy has it there. Bossy right out in front, and the puck knocked away in front of the goal. Colin Campbell hauled down, but the Wings managed to bat it down the ice back into the Islanders zone. 50 seconds left in the penalty, and Paul Woods intercepts at center ice and drives it back into the New York end. Tonelli plays it into the corner, and the Islanders will bring it out again. Ahead to John Tonelli, out at center ice. Goring following with Nystrom. Now Tonelli goes toward the corner. Tonelli laid it back on the line. Denis Potvin shot it wide. Tonelli into the corner after it. Nystrom dug it out. Back on the line to Jonsson. Duguay knocked it away, didn't get it out. Still they battle for it, and Colin Campbell comes up and bats it back into the New York end. Back after it, Potvin. 20 seconds left in the Detroit penalty. Now Tonelli leaves it for Potvin. Potvin over on the right side and failing to get away from Lattiser that time. Rangers have it back on their own blue line. 10 seconds remaining in the penalty to Greg Smith. Turning at center ice, Goring, laying it back to Potvin. Now it's Nystrom over the line. Nystrom trying to move around Paul Woods, and he's lost his stick, being checked by Lattiser. Wings play it ahead. Greg Smith is on. Here's Woods carrying into the New York zone. Paul Woods laid it along the boards into the corner. Tonelli goes in after it. Teams are at full strength. We've no score. We've played just over 6 minutes of the first period. Long pass coming out to Goring at center ice. Play broken off by Reed Larson right at the Detroit blue line. Goring had to chase it back into his own zone. The Islanders sent it back to center ice, and Lattiser batted it right back into the New York end. In behind his own goal, Dave Langevin pinned off the puck. Here's Grodnik trying to get it loose. They hold it to the boards. A face-off stays in the New York end. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, a comet explodes in Arizona, leaving disaster in its wake. Don't miss Richard Crenna and Elizabeth Ashley in A Fire in the Sky tomorrow on TV 50's 8 o'clock movie.
Well, the Wings did a real fine job of killing this first penalty of the night. Different combinations used by the Detroit coach.
Face off to the right of the New York goal. Brent Sutter in against Murray Craven. The whistle just as the puck was dropped, so we'll go through it again. First period, Hartford leading Boston 2-1. Game being played, I believe, in Boston. 6-2. Play still to the right side of the New York goal. We've no score. We've played 6.5 minutes of the opening period. Stefan Persson played it into the corner deep in his own zone. Grodnik took it away. Here's John Grodnik, laid it back on the blue line, and his pass intercepted by Sutter. Sutter comes up the right side, kicking away at it, flipped it into the Detroit zone, and Randy Lattiser of the Wings will take it in behind Micallef. Up on the right side to Lane Lambert. Lambert plays it out. Here's Craven trying to get loose. Couldn't pull away from Sutter. Or rather, Duane Sutter. Puck back into the New York zone. Tipped back out to center ice. Reed Larson has it there. Larson hands it back to Lannister. They scoop it back into the Islanders' end. Hrudey goes in behind his own goal. Plays it up the left side. Bob Bourne. Ahead now to Sutter. Brent Sutter. This pass knocked away by Larson, and the Wings fired right up into their own bench. So the play whistled down there.
Well, the Wings here in this first 7 minutes and 19 seconds have come out and actually are checking and picking up their wings and coming back with them. No doubt several meetings that have gone on to try and cut down this goals against average that they have been allowing.
I think they played well thus far in the game.
Yes.
7 minutes and 20 seconds into it.
Well, every line that the Islanders put out, Bruce, is dangerous. They've got scoring and they've got depth.
But here it is right here with Trottier and Bossy and Gillies. Puck came back to Morrow. Morrow played it in behind the Detroit goal, and there to dig it out is Bossy. He fired it into traffic off to the side of the Detroit goal. The play stopped and a face-off to the right of the Red Wing net. Wings return home to meet the Philadelphia Flyers. Bobby Clark and company Saturday night. Joe Louis Arena.
Big Clark Gillies, a Western boy, drafted back in 1974.
Well, he is not the Clark Gillies we have seen.
No, he's not a goal scorer, but he's a very strong defensive hockey player.
Pass comes back to Morrow. Here's Jonsson with a drive, and that's deflected off to the side of the goal. Paul Woods takes it off the board, brings it back out center ice. Given a check there by Bossy. Bossy and Woods hang a little along the board. Woods came up with a puck, bounces it ahead. Eddie Johnstone's pass knocked away. Now Gillies has it back at center ice. Gillies played it back to the New York line. They jam in along the boards, and elbows come up. Right in front of the camera box there, where we have a gathering of 10 players, 5 aside. But they'll be separating them. And I guess that's all over. Claude Moisel in the middle of it all. So the temper is cooled and the score remaining 0-0. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm a kangaroo.
Okay, and these are kangaroos from JCPenney. Also, there are beautiful kangaroos for ladies, sporty kangaroos for boys, a neat pair of kangaroos for girls, and kangaroos for the most important person, for me. So hop over to JCPenney and pick up a pair. And don't forget the children. JCPenney, your headquarters for kangaroos. The shoes to choose.
55.
Claude Moisel of Detroit, Clark Gillies of New York Islanders, 2 apiece for roughing. 7:55 the time of the penalties. Each team now short a man. Now Dineen had trouble just inside his own blue line with Yzermam. Puck held in. Here's now Bolderev holding it in. Bolderev played it over now to Greg Smith. He fired way wide. Yzermam over on the left side held it in there. Yzerman's pass knocked away, and Greg Smith has to hurry back after it. He lost it, taken away by number 17, Greg Gilbert. Came right out in front, and Potvin cutting in, and Mikola came up with a big save on him. A shot from the blue line knocked down, loose out in front, and Mikola has that big stick out on top of it. And Corrado Mikola, I'll tell you, has done the job so far.
A fine save right there on a play that was stretched right out. He just kept the glove on top of the stick. Goaltenders are pretty well told to stand up a little more than Corrado Mikola does, but
Dennis Potvin had the big opportunity.
Well, he come away out of his net to cut Potvin's angle down, and Dennis didn't get the puck up. He had the top part of the net to shoot at, but Mikola way out of his net.
So the score remains at 0-0. A minute and 18 seconds remaining in the roughing penalties to Loisel and Gillies, each team short a man. Bolderev and Ogrodnik now for Detroit. Brent Sutter, Butch Goring. No, make it Tonelli and Goring up front for the Islanders. Brad Park steers it over on the right side to Bolderev. Still deep in the Detroit end. Bolderev comes out now to center ice. Drops it back for Park. Now Brad Park to Ogrodnik. Ogrodnik trying to work away from the check of Dineen. The two of them go into the corner. That puck came loose and Potvin cleared it ahead. Now again Ogrodnik bothering his man, so Dineen goes in behind his own goal. Swings it up the left side to Tonelli. Potvin still deep in the New York zone. Here's Dineen. Now to Butch Goring. Goring trying to work away from Bolderev. Puck still in the New York end. Potvin turns with it. Potvin lost his glove. Clears it over on the right side. Dineen a left side pass to Tonelli. Here's Tonelli around Park trying to go in. And Park actually hauled him down a bit. The play goes in behind the Detroit goal. And Lattiser flips it up the left side for John O'Grodny. John O'Grodny bringing it out center ice. On the move, Lattiser drops it off now to Bolderev. Bolderev moves out in front. His centering pass tipped away in front of the goal. And the Islanders will bring it back. Dineen hands it over now. Moving it now, Langevin cleared it back into the Detroit zone. It goes in behind the Red Wing goal. Lattiser up the left side to Murray Craven. Craven took a bump along the board. Penalty is over. The team's now back at full strength. Brad Park. Park's pass tipped out to center ice. Yzermam couldn't hold it there. Gillies knocked it away. But Park moves him. Now Brad Park ahead to Yzermam. Eddie Johnstone on the left side. Puck knocked off Yzermam. Stick by Langevin. And Persson clears it into the corner. Dave Langevin playing it ahead now. Trottier up the left side to Gillies. Gillies over the line, back into the Detroit zone. Dropped it back on the line for Langevin. Now he hands it off, and Stefan Persson with a drive. And Mikulev, I believe, got in front of that and tipped it away. Play loose along the boards in the Detroit end, and Yzermam clears it ahead now to Reed Larson. Larson drove a long shot. Hrudey has no trouble with that. Drops it off for Langevin. Now here is Persson starting out of his own end. We've played near 11 minutes of the first period with no score. Gillies failed to get over the line. Barrett knocked it away. Now it's Bossy. Mike Bossy into the Detroit end. Bossy's pass broken off by Eddie Johnstone. Puck came back to Larson. He cleared it too far out in front of Loisel. It goes down the ice. Loisel put it right to the goal mouth. But the Islanders cleared it back into the corner. And now the Red Wing player dumped in behind the goal, I believe, is Eddie Johnstone again, is it not?
Yes, it is. Eddie Johnstone.
In behind the New York Islander goal, Johnstone sent to the boards back there.
It's just one injury after another.
And they need this man back on the lineup. So while they tend to Eddie Johnstone, we'll tell you we've no score in the game, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Why American business trusts Emery.
Authors know I get edgy the night before a deadline, so they trust Emery to send me manuscripts, desk to desk.
I'm a small builder, but Emery gives my plans the same on-time delivery they give the big guys.
These computer chips are delicate, expensive, and expected by my client tomorrow. I trust Emery.
Over 1 million customers trust Emery to deliver. Call Emery. We've earned the trust of American business.
Well, stand corrected. It was Claude Loisel. Eddie Johnstone had just come off the ice, and his head, thank goodness for the helmet, banged up along the glass. And I think he's all right. Seeing a few stars. He'll be shaking the cobwebs out. We still have no score in the game. We have played 11 minutes and 7 seconds of the first period. Shot board shows 5 for New York Islanders, 3 for the Red Wings. Mikulev has come through with a couple of big moves in that Detroit goal.
Well, he is a little bit of a wanderer, and he comes out and cuts the angles down pretty well, so.
Murray Craven with O'Grodny and Lambert on the wings now as the play goes back into the Islanders zone. New York's Jonsson has it back there. His pass bounces out center ice. Lambert hustles back after it, couldn't get to it. Now here's Sutter cutting in on the Detroit goal with a shot. That may have gone off the side of the goal post. Sutter hands it back to Morrow with a drive. Larson knocked it away out in front. It's held in though. Bourne is hauled down. They take the puck in along the board. It's held there. The whistle will stop the play. And Bruce Hood had it all away and was just shaking his head no. And the Islanders are looking up for the possibility of a penalty.
Well, this is one thing that the Red Wings have to make sure that they check with this team.
Red Wings will be home for 3 games during the coming week. Saturday, the Philadelphia Flyers, and next Wednesday on Student Night, the Vancouver Canucks will be at Joe Louis. Check the newspapers participating Little Caesars for student discount coupons. Then to wrap up the week, the Toronto Maple Leafs. That'll be a heck of a game next Friday night. Face off, circle to the right of the Detroit goal. John Barrett sends it up the right side to Lambert. He got tangled up with a linesman. Larson knocked the shot down in front of the goal, flipped it out to center ice. Then he got it loose again, and John O'Grodny carries into the New York zone, took the shot, juggled a bit, but handled by the goaltender Kelly Hrudey. and the Islanders will bring it back out. Now here's Brent Sutter. Sutter over the line into the Detroit zone, trying to work away, and Craven knocked it away from him. Lambert up the left side to John O'Grodnik, drove a shot from center ice. Hrudey cleared it over along the boards. Craven held it in, but the Islanders will bring it back with Duane Sutter sending it out center ice. Greg Smith takes it. Smith of Detroit flipping it high into the air in the corner into the New York zone. Jonsson off to the side of his own goal. Digging it after it, John O'Grodnik. Puck held in by Colin Campbell. He rammed it back into the corner. Jonsson of the Islanders goes in after it. 7.5 minutes to play in a scoreless first period. Ken Morrow of New York. Now Morrow lifts the puck back into the Detroit zone. It goes in behind the Red Wing goal. Campbell went in after it, being checked by Trottier. The puck stays in the Detroit zone. There's a shot fired, that time by Dineen, and Micallef came up with a good save on it. Eddie Johnstone, the holder of it was, tipped it in behind his own goal. Campbell comes in after it. Colin Campbell up the right side to Duguay. Back now to Greg Smith. Now here's Bolderev with Duguay, the two of them over the line. And Bolderev's pass didn't get through as Potvin starts right back. Now Denis Potvin. Puck driven into the corner deep in the Detroit zone. Colin Campbell sends it ahead to Duguay. Duguay has Yzermam on the move. Yzermam goes over the line. Here now Steve Yzermam pulling up along the circle. Hands it back to Bolderev. Ivan Bolderev played it back on the blue line, but Greg Smith had moved in, and it slides all the way back out center ice. Smith came back after it. Here's Yzermam knocking it away. Yzermam took it back into the New York zone, goes after it. Yzermam took the shot, and that's grabbed off by Hrudey. And Yzermam, bothered all the time, still managed to get a good scoring chance.
And had he been able to get a little more wood on that shot, he possibly could have scored.
So the pause in the action, and still no score. We'll be back in a moment.
You gotta reach deep inside.
We always run faster together. Maybe it's the baton. Maybe it's the way we push each other.
Bring out your best, Budweiser Light. Bring out your best, Budweiser Light.
The best has a taste all its own. Enjoy it.
Bruce Martin along the table, our producer Toby Cunningham. Now we've got a line on the ice, Sid, made up of Reed Larson on the right wing, Dunlop at center, and Joe Patterson on the left side. Back along the defense, Lattiser and Brad Park. Butch Goring in against Dunlop, at least he was. The linesman Christensen, well, he didn't, yes, he is going to wave him out. McCord is the other linesman here tonight, not Collins. So Joe Patterson will move in now against Tonelli. Puck driven into the corner, going in after Persson. Persson hands it ahead, and now Tonelli comes out center ice. Tonelli on the move, over the line, into the Detroit zone, hands it off to Nystrom, took the shot, fired it wide. Langevin from the left point. His pass deflected, knocked away by Brad Park, and Park sends it out center ice. Dunlop couldn't get to it. Tonelli has it turning at center ice. 6 minutes to go, first period. Play broken up by Larson. Now Dunlop's pass hit a stick, bounces into the New York end, and the Islanders will play it there. Stefan Persson ahead now to Goring. At the New York line, Persson moves on again. Here's Langevin. Langevin bounces it over on the right side. Goring picks it up, drove it in behind the Detroit goal, and Micallef out of the net, stops it there for Lattiser. Lattiser's pass to Patterson. The Wings again didn't get it out of their own zone. It came out to Tonelli, and Tonelli driven back into the corner by Brad Park. But Nystrom holds it in. Still they battle deep in the Detroit zone. Here's Nystrom right out in front, and he scores. And that was just perseverance on the part of Nystrom and Tonelli particularly.
Just forechecking and digging in the corners. They never let up. And Nystrom and Tonelli are probably two of the best in the league. Brad Park over in the corner with Tonelli, and Tonelli just knocked it off with his skate. Nystrom picks it up, and he realized nobody come out to challenge him, so he just moved over in front of the net, swished it in the open corner beyond Toronto Mickle.
So Nystrom gets number 9 on the season.
The assist to number 27, John Tonelli, and number 7, Stefan Persson.
They gave Persson an assist on a 2. Tonelli's the one that made the play, and Nystrom finished it off in good shape. 14 minutes and 37 seconds, and the Islanders lead it 1-0. Now the Islanders have the play in behind their own goal. Jonsson over on the right side. It went loose at center ice. Paul Woods just played it to an open wing. Duguay had dropped back defensively, and so the Islanders will bring it out again. And now there's going to be a penalty coming up, an interference call right in the center ice area.
Bryan Trottier tripped Paul Woods
going to go up
as Paul Woods went over to try and make a check.
So with the Wings power play coming up, let's pause right now for this.
The great cars of Europe priced far out of reach until now. Renault presents the road to affordability. Renault Alliance, Motor Trend's 1983 Car of the Year, with sedan comfort for 5 and their luggage. Fuel efficient, fuel injected, European technology that's affordable. $59.59. Renault Alliance, built in America.
The one to watch, the one to watch, the one to watch.
Renault.
Bryan Trottier will get the penalty, an interference call as he upended Paul Woods, who was going after Ken Morrow, the puck carrier. So the Red Wings, with their first power play opportunity of the hockey game, have Larson and Park back along the line. Ogrodnik, Yzermam, and Bolderev up front. The play comes back into the Detroit zone. Park hands it off to Larson. Reed Larson carrying center ice. Now Larson up the right side to Yzermam, trying to work around Sutter. He hauled down, another penalty. There's Park with a shot. Now the Red Wings lift their goaltender for the extra attacker. Puck came back to Brad Park, another drive, and it's grabbed off by Hrudey. And now the Wings are going to have a 2-man advantage with 1:32 left in the penalty to Trottier.
And the face-off deep in the Islander zone to give the Wings a chance to move everybody inside the blue line.
Brent Sutter. 2 minutes for booking. Time of the penalty is 15.
Well, he hauled Yzermam down as he was cutting in.
Brent Sutter of the Islanders, 2 for hooking.
So he gets the hooking call, and the Red Wings have a great opportunity now. 1:32. They'll have a 2-man advantage.
The big thing now is to move the puck around, get the Islanders. The Red Wings should be able to get somebody out of the slot area. Hopefully a Bolderev or an Ogrodnik or an Yzermam.
Same lineup staying out there now. Yzermam will go in against Goring. He's the only New York forward to face off deep in the New York zone. The puck comes back to Larson. Reed Larson drove a shot. Oh, and Hrudey came up with a great save. Larson had everything on that one, and Hrudey just stayed right with it.
That was Reed's patented slap shot, and Hrudey just threw that catching hand out, made a great save. Was right on the corner.
So the play will stay still in the Islander zone, this side to the left side. And the Islander goaltender, Kelly Hrudey.
Nice to see young goaltenders come in and perform so well.
Bolderev takes the draw this time against Goring. This time Goring won the draw, but the puck isn't. Yes, it is. It bounces out back into the center ice zone. Brad Park comes back after it. Now Park very slowly at center ice, up the left side to Ogrodnik. John Ogrodnik drops it back to Park at the left point again. Park holds it along the rim of the circle. He played it back to Larson. Now it's Ivan Bolderev playing it back on the line to Larson again. Larson another drive, and that's deflected off to the side of the net. They scramble in behind the goal after it. Potvin really upended Bolderev. Puck came out to Ogrodnik. Ogrodnik all the way back on the blue line. Now John Ogrodnik fired another one, and Hrudey has grabbed onto that. The Red Wings are getting their chances, and this young goaltender is playing well.
Well, their shots are from out a little too far, Bruce. When they have a 2-man advantage, they should be able to get someone in a little closer. But this kid really, Potvin really flattened. I guess Yzermam first, then Bolderev really took him down.
Well, you don't expect a third penalty to be called in a situation like this.
No way. You can get away with a lot of things when you have 2 men in the penalty box. Lay the lumber on.
Now Bob Bourne, the only forward for the Islanders. Yzermam in against him. And the Islanders won the draw. It hit the linesman. They pick it up a second time. Park stopped it at the blue line. Here's Reed Larson giving it back to Park. Brad Park had to chase it down, sends it back on the line. Larson another long drive, and that's deflected away by the goaltender. Yzermam holds it in. Yzermam out in front. Played it in behind the goal. Going in after it, Boldarev. Ivan Boldarev back on the line to Larson. Hands it back to Brad Park. Park fakes the shot. Now his pass deflected to the corner. Dug out by O'Grodnik. 15 seconds left in the first penalty. Brad Park with a drive, and Hrudey again reaches out and grabs onto it. And the Red Wings have 5 shots in this power play opportunity. They were 8 and 6 a moment ago.
I don't know if this kid's that good a goaltender or not, but the Wings are making him look awful good. Park's shot was too high. It's up catchable by Hrudey, but he is covering his angles. You notice on that shot by Park, though, Bruce, the Red Wings, even though they have a 2-man advantage, didn't have anybody parked right out in front of them. Everybody's at the side of the net instead of in front of the net.
Nobody bothering the goaltender at all. He had the shot all the way. The Islanders win the draw, fire it down the ice. Just 7 seconds remaining in the penalty to Trottier. Reed Larson back in his own zone. Now Larson brings it out center ice. Over on the left side to O'Grodnik. Trottier back on. John O'Grodnik going to the corner. His pass broken up by Goring. He didn't get it out. Park held it in the first time, and Goring breaks down the right side. Larson came back to check on the play. Langevin carries into the Detroit zone. Here's Goring with a drive. He shot it wide, and the rebound fired right through the goal crease by Langevin. And the Wings scoop it out center ice. Now here's Yzermam back over the line. Yzermam trying to go around Tonelli. And Tonelli knocked it off his stick. Larson holds it in. Islanders back at full strength. 1-0 New York leads. Here's Lattiser at the blue line with a long shot that went wide. Larson dumps it in toward the corner. Yzermam took a bump, still works the puck into the corner. Hands it back now to John O'Grodnik, still deep in the New York zone. O'Grodnik off the side of the goal. Centered it, but Tonelli broke it up. And Tonelli plays it back out center ice. Reed Larson taps it back in, offside. They're going to call it an intentional offside. Bring it all the way back into the Detroit end. Got a moment now for our trivia quiz. Who, we asked you, the first Red Wing to score more than 30 goals in one season? Charlie Conacher, Gordie Howe, Carl Lipscomb. The trivia quiz brought to you by WJR Radio. Well, I tell you, that was a pretty good penalty killing job by the Islanders. They held the Wings away from the goal and forced their shooting from the outside. But I agree with you, Sid, that you've got to get somebody out in front of the goal.
Someone has to get out, interfere, or take the vision away from the goaltender by just getting in front of him. The Wings were parking at the side of the net, just hoping for little deflections.
Now the puck came back to the line. Jonsson cleared it in behind the Detroit goal. Bossy went in after it. Greg Smith tipped it away. Lattiser played it out to center ice. Back after Dineen. Gord Dineen lost it. Here's Paul Woods trying to work away from him. Woods with a rolling puck. Couldn't control it. He ended up on the ice. Greg Smith stopped it at the right point. Lifted it in the air, but that's knocked down by Trottier ahead to Gillies. Bounced off him. Lattiser didn't get it out. Puck held in by Trottier. Here's Bossy taking it, laying it in behind the goal to Trottier. Trottier trying to get it to Gillies. He did. His shot was knocked down. Puck still loose in front of the Detroit goal. And coming out with it now is Blake Dunlop of the Wings. A minute 20 to play. Dunlop sends it back into the New York Islanders zone. 1-0. The Islanders lead the game. Turning in his own end now is Bossy. Mike Bossy bringing it out center ice. Checked right there by Dunlop. Dunlop has Duguay over the line. A drop pass for Dunlop, and he just left it there. So Trottier will bring it right back. Now Trottier back into the Detroit zone, trying to get around Lattiser. Lattiser knocks him down. Now the Wings head back. We've got 50 seconds to go, and Morrow stops the Detroit rush. Play went to the Detroit line. Woods tipped it out. Now the Islanders shoot it right back in. Gilbert played it in behind the Detroit net. Micallef set it up in front to Duguay. He failed to hold it there. The Islanders shoot it back in. In behind his own goal, Micallef stopped it for Lattiser a half a minute to go. Ivan Boldarev shoots it all the way down the ice, and they waved off the icing, went off a New York Islander player. So the Islanders will come right back. Brent Sutter. Now Sutter carrying into the Detroit zone. Whistled a shot that Micallef kicked away. Up on the right side to Lambert. Puck came back to Jonsson, and he drilled one wide. 12 seconds in the period. Now Ivan Boldarev scoops it ahead, too far for Lambert. They're going to whistle it down for icing with 4 seconds remaining, so that brings the play back into the Detroit end.
Just the difference in the hockey clubs in this last play where the Islanders had the puck in over the Red Wing blue line. 2 players, 2 Islanders standing directly out in front of Corrado Micallef. The shot from the blue line just missed the corner. and I'm sure Corrado never saw it at all.
In our first intermission on television, we're going to be taking a look at the very beautiful, and I don't exaggerate, Olympia room, which Mike Gillies just revamped completely. Looked like he ran a bulldozer through the old one and rebuilt everything, and it is gorgeous. You're going to be taking a look at the Olympia room and its activities in our first intermission. Radio-wise, all the sports you want to know will be coming your way. Face-off will be to the left side of the Detroit goal. A big face-off now. Dunlop goes in against Brent Sutter. 4 seconds remaining in the period with a play deep in the Detroit end. Brent Sutter sends Duane, his brother, over on the right side to check Larson. Puck came back. Larson dumped the player, and the buzzer will go to end the first period of play. A good period of play in which the Red Wings outshot the New York Islanders 11-9, primarily because for a minute and 32 seconds they had a two-man advantage. But the Wings, having problems with their power play, gave up the only goal of the game to Bob Nystrom from Tonelli in person at 14:37. So that's the story from here at the Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York, the home of the New York Islanders, who after one period of play lead the Detroit Red Wings with a score. New York 1, Detroit nothing.
The thrill of the wild. One vehicle captures that feeling with the strength and agility to master most any terrain. Nothing stands in its way. Jeep CJ, like nothing you've ever driven.
There's a feeling you can get only in a Jeep.
Daddy, I'm thirsty. Me too. Can we stop?
Look, last unique soft drink for 500 miles. Let's stop.
Wow. How come it's all Werner?
Well, because it's a one-of-a-kind soft drink. Why don't you tell them, boys? It's the one-of-a-kind soft drink.
With the one-of-a-kind taste.
It's the one-of-a-kind soft drink.
With the one-of-a-kind taste.
Hi, I'm a kangaroo.
Okay, and these are kangaroos from JCPenney. Also, there are beautiful kangaroos for ladies, sporty kangaroos for boys, a neat pair of kangaroos for girls, and kangaroos for the most important person, for me. So hop over to JCPenney and pick up a pair. And don't forget the children. JCPenney, your headquarters for kangaroos, the shoes to choose.
They planned for it. They trained for it. And now, 6,000 miles from home, behind enemy lines, 7 men go for it. They had one way out, one chance to get their buddies who were left behind. 7 men with one thing in common. Uncommon valor. Be there. Rated R.
Uncommon Valor opens tomorrow at these select theaters and drive-ins. Check newspaper for showtimes. You'll really score this season with a great taste of Kowalski quality on your team. For pregame meals or just a quick snack between goals, you can't beat Kowalski Stadium kielbasa and luncheon meats. Made delicious the old world way. Kowalski now, and treat yourself to flavor. And now, enjoy delicious Stadium kielbasa, available when you visit Joe Louis Arena for the next Red Wing game. Kowalski, your hockey season favorite.
It used to be called the Olympia Room, a holdover from the old arena. But it's different now, and just how different is indicative of the changes in Joe Louis Arena. Upstairs, where there used to be cement walls, there are now food stands and souvenir shops. And down here, next to a corridor that looks like somebody's basement, you'll find a tiled floor and a patio that serves as an entrance to the new Olympia Club. Inside are 3 of the architects responsible for the design and creation of this project.
The first thing you notice when you enter this room is the bar, which you wanted to be the focal point, but it was no easy problem solving a design problem to get it together.
No, when you first come in, our main concern in laying it out was to have the bar as the focal point and then try to take advantage of some of the disadvantages of the room itself. such as the columns. All the columns within this space is a definite disadvantage. And we use the columns, to actually accentuate the curvature of the room. We also accented the columns by use of mirror and oak treatments and a custom-made light fixture.
The other disadvantage is that once you've got the bar set here, that end of the room kind of disappeared off into nothing.
Prior to the renovation, that back end of the room was very non-appealing, and we actually made it more appealing by putting a 50-foot riverfront mural scene. And now it's quite the opposite. It's actually a pretty popular end of the room.
And one thing that you don't see here, but it's a factor in the quality of this room, is the kitchen's been moved to just across the hall.
Right. Mr. and Mrs. Village's concern not only was with the aesthetics of the room, but also being in the restaurant business, the quality of the menu. Prior to the renovation, the restaurant that served this room was on the 4th floor, and they instructed us to put a restaurant just adjacent to this room to improve the quality of the food as well as the quality of the design of the room.
With all those problems to overcome, is the finished product something an architect can be proud of?
Oh, definitely. Really proud of it.
But there's more to this room than just food and drink. And an obvious indication is all of this electronic equipment to turn it into a nightclub, essentially.
Yes, yes. After hours, when you can come in after a concert or after a game, we have a DJ here, and we have a dance floor out there where the people can enjoy themselves. There's also video equipment down here, which we project the game on the large screen TV, and we also have monitors around that we use for some of the rock videos.
So we're not just talking hockey game and sporting event here. We're talking an entire evening's entertainment, one place kind of thing.
What we're trying to do is to get the person down here for a total evening entertainment, and it can start with a buffet dinner before the game. You can have some drinks before the game in here, go to the game, and then come back, and the place will be functioning as a disco at that point. You can order some snacks later night. We're offering partial Mexican menu now and some burgers that we're running out of our newly completed kitchen across the hallway. So the place has total capabilities to, I think, to entertain anybody for any kind of needs.
Is this being done elsewhere, or is this a first?
I really don't know of any other place where it's being done to this extent, where it's a total entertainment complex within an arena.
Another aspect of this room is the way it went together, and not at all in the conventional manner for you.
That's right, Larry. What really happened with this room is something that really hasn't ever really happened with us before. First of all, we had a very, very short time span to put the thing together. Ordinarily, it would take like a standard architectural set of drawings to be done in about 3 months' time. Sent up for bids. The bids usually takes another 6 weeks or sometimes 2-3 weeks, depending on the time span and the complexity of the job. And then you go into construction, and the construction for a facility like this is generally timed around anywhere from 90 to 120, even longer. But in this instance, from start of concept to completion was 7 weeks.
And sometimes that's the way Mike Ilitch does things. He says, I want a club here, and I want it here now, go do it.
Right, and that stems from the whole concept of what we're trying to do here. We are trying to create a nice atmosphere to come and watch a hockey game, and I think if you come around here like 6 o'clock with a 7:30 game, you'll see quite a few people, not only in this room, but up on the 2nd floor, which before was simply a shell, and now is a hubbub of activity up there now.
Am I overly optimistic to say that within just a few years, this may be the showpiece of the National Hockey League, the best franchise there is?
I really think, in fact, I think we are now. It's just a matter of now, continuing to be the best.
Because nobody else can deliver those 20,000 crowds that are possible, and if this is a winning team, and this is here for the fan to enjoy,
sky's the limit.
The Olympia Club, better than the old Olympia room, just as the Red Wings are getting better than the old Red Wings. We'll get back to Bruce and Sid and the Islanders game after these messages.
What does it mean when a Shell dealer displays this sign? It means he makes these important promises. To give you a written estimate up front, to have certified mechanics, and the right equipment for the job. And he backs his work in writing. In a word, your Shell Auto Care dealer promises to give you quality car repair service right here in your neighborhood. Look for this sign, Shell Auto Care.
Is paying extra for a Thornapple Valley ham worth it? Here's an ordinary ham. At Thornapple Valley, we trim skin, fat, bones, and the tougher cuts, leaving only the tender eye of the round. Here's an extraordinary ham, the 94% lean Thornapple Valley Perfect Petite. Here's what it looks like being served. Here's what it looks like after all your guests have had seconds. The Thornapple Valley Perfect Petite, and you'll be the one who served it.
Everybody deserves a waterbed, and at Waterbed Gallery, we have a warm waterbed for you, and at the right time, Christmas time. Right now, you'll find all kinds of fantastic Christmas gifts, like the Voyager. It's only $249. Or at $289, you could be sleeping on our beautifully finished bookcase waterbed. And for only $179, get this completely finished waterbed, truly a bed of distinction. So remember, everybody deserves a waterbed, and Christmas time is the perfect time at
Waterbed Gallery, the better waterbed store.
Introducing the amazing Renault Encore. Look how it feels with four wheels suspended independently for amazing cornering. And to see through a panoramic rear glass door. Look how the new Encore feels as it almost ignores gas pumps and offers interior space that's very flexible. For an amazing 5755, European design built in America. The new Renault Encore, amazing.
The one to watch, the one to watch, the one to watch.
Renault.
Time has passed, the family's grown. Your kids have kids to call their own. And we're proud to be part of the memories you share. The refreshment that's always been there. Right there. Coke is it, the biggest taste you've ever found. Coke is it, the one that never lets you down. Coke is it, the most refreshing taste around. Coke is it, Coke is it.
You are watching Red Wing Hockey on WKBD TV 50, your choice for sports in Detroit. And we are with you live here in Uniondale, New York, the Nassau Coliseum, home of the New York Islanders. And Sid, we had a good period of hockey that first 20 minutes.
Well, you know, the Islanders grind things out, Bruce. There's nothing fancy about them. They just go up and down, and if the Wings make up their minds to skate with them, they can make a real good hockey game of it.
It was a game of goaltenders in that first period, a couple of youngsters, but it was... first of all, a big move by Corrado Micallef to make the first big save of the game.
Well, Clark Gillies got around the outside of the defense and picked up the puck and went in on an angle, and Corrado come well out of his net, and then with a stick save, threw the stick one way. Gillies tried to go around him and throw the puck back in the empty net, and Corrado Micallef made a great save.
I thought Corrado played quite well in the period, and you really couldn't blame him on the only goal scored that we're going to take a look at in just a moment or two. The Red Wings certainly had their opportunities with a two-man advantage, but the only goal of that first period came about like this.
Well, this is a case where just outworked Detroit in the corners, and Nystrom coming back out across the front of the net. The other defenseman, Ladouceur, was tied up by a New York Islander, and he didn't pay any attention to Nystrom at all. He come right back across the front and beat Corrado cleanly, so put the Islanders on the board first.
That was the makeshift line that was out there at that particular time, where they had Reed Larson out on the right wing. Claude Loisel was shaken up early in the period and did not come back, but I would think we may see him before this hockey game is over. Well, the Red Wings had some opportunities.
Well, when the Islanders had the two penalties, the Red Wings were in scoring position time and time again. Reed Larson unloaded 2 or 3 times, and Hrudey come up with big saves. He's a good-looking goaltender. A lot of heavy spade work around the Islander net. Potvin, Pitchfork, and a couple fellows, especially Boulder behind the net. But the Wings continued to press, but if you'll note in the shots from out 35, 40 feet, nobody got out in front of the goaltender to screen his view at all.
And so thus we have a game after one period of hockey from here at the Nassau Coliseum, with the New York Islanders 1, the Detroit Red Wings nothing, and we'll be back with the second period action in just a moment.